Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Byrne from Deborah Byrne Psychology Services, known across social media as DBpsychology. This morning, I'm actually going to be talking about stress in women, which I think is a very, very important topic. Stress reduction is huge, both for men and women. But with women, you're more likely to develop anxiety or depression disorders if you have stress. Okay, there's a higher likelihood, so it's really, really important that you get the stress under control and you review your priorities in life. I've listed out a whole load of ways in which women in particular, and anybody really, can develop stress. I've listed out the top 10, but there are also a whole load of others. Mostly, I would say it is particularly about women, working women or mums or even grandmothers. It's about getting that life-work balance right. An awful lot of the time, we will put ourselves at the end of the list and we will not look after ourselves because we've spent too much time looking after everybody else. When in fact, we should be looking after ourselves first and then looking after other people, because as they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. So life-work balance is a problem for everybody, but it is particularly, I think, difficult for women. I've just listed out a lot of things in the blog, understanding that stress is a normal part of, how your body reacts to daily things. It can be it's a very normal thing to have. And understanding the freeze, the flight, and the fight mechanism that goes on inside our bodies. Understanding how we as individuals, how you react to stress or to the day's events is highly important. And I'll go on and talk about that in how you can use that to, for stress reduction. But it is, it's very, very important to know how you react. Are you somebody who freezes? Are you somebody who will take flight? Or are you somebody who's going to get aggressive and fight back? It's important because we need to know how we're storing that stress in our bodies. If we know how we store stress, particularly to large stressors, like I have listed in, the kind of the top 10, or even I have a long list of other stresses that we can have. How you react to that is how you're going to store that stress in your body. And understanding your response factor is going to help you understand how how you store that trauma in your body, because that trauma will be stored in your body and it has to be let go. You have to release it. That's why I'm very strong on people, letting go of the stigma of asking for help from professionals. You need to do it. You need to be looking after yourselves, and you need to, understand the why, understand how it happens. So therefore you can prevent it, or you can ease it happening again. When it happens again, you can ease up on yourself, and you can take, take the necessary steps at reducing your stress levels in future. So, symptoms, there's a whole range of symptoms. I go through everything in detail, how it affects your skin, how it affects your heart, how it affects everything. So I'm not going to talk about too much about the symptoms, but what I will say to you is there's an extremely long list. And a lot of the times we can mark off, particularly as women and particularly as we get older, we can mark off some of the symptoms. And if you go down through them, it's very important, because sometimes we can put off the symptoms as something else that's going on in our life. If you look at the symptoms, for instance, how they affect your your monthly cycle, how they affect your hormones. We as we age, we might put that down to menopause, when in fact it mightn't be to do with that at all. It might be to do with stress in our lives. We have just gotten so used to being stressed. It has built up slowly, and we have gotten used to some of the symptoms, and we just put it off as, oh, that's normal, that's a normal part of life. When in fact we are under stress and we are not recognizing that we can actually take a more proactive approach to some of the symptoms that are there. But for just some of you who out there who want to know how, some of the main points I think are important for women. Aging skin. So it doesn't matter how much you put on your face or your skin or whatever. If you are overstressed, you're going to age more quickly. Sleep deprived, you're going to have problems with your sleep. You'll get into a cycle of negativity, negative thinking, and that can become really a cycle of build up, and all, because you're very stressed, and it is something you can tackle. Menstrual problems, as I said, not getting pregnant, or you could put it down to an early menopause when in fact it isn't. Eating disorders, you can build up in eating disorders, weight gain. Women, we are particularly conscious of our weight. Sometimes we are too conscious of our weight, and it is happening in younger men as well. So, again, stress can cause eating problems. The big one I would really like to talk about there would be heart attack. Very important, and I've linked out to another website with regards to heart attacks in women, because we do have different symptoms than men, or slightly different symptoms than men. So do check out, be very, very aware of how your heart, what happens when a woman has a heart attack. It's very important that you know that. Higher level of stroke, as you know. And then muddled thinking. I just picked out muddled thinking from a list of the symptoms too, because a lot of the times as we age, we think of muddled thinking and the menopause. We think of muddled thinking and getting older. And then we think, I'm having a sane moment. When in fact you're just too stressed. You can't think straight if you're too stressed. So think about the implications it could have on your job if you can't think straight. If you can't, it's going to impact your productivity. So do have a look at the symptoms, because I have listed out, how that's going to have a knock-on effect in your life, and there are things you can do about it. So the main point of today's blog is all about stress reduction. We all need to do some stress reduction in our lives on a daily basis. Now, I'm going to harp on again. Basic self-care. It is the foundation, absolute foundation of your life. It isn't selfish. It is very simple techniques that you can do, a very simple routine that you get into on a daily basis. And it means you're looking after yourself first, and then you're able to look after everybody else. So you have to have your basic self-care in place. And that includes your boundaries. And, then we'll talk about a stress journal. Now, I talked about journaling before, very, very important. But if you are very stressed, having a specific stress journal is very, very important. If you've had particularly a number of the top 10 stressors, I would recommend that you go and see a therapist. And a stress journal can give you an idea of, again, as I said, how your body is reacting to the stress, whether you're doing that freeze, fight or flight response. But it can record too also, even if you've got mild stressors in your life, it can help you record what are causing you the most stress in your life. And then you can see, is there a pattern? You can also see if there is something you can do about it. And I'll talk about time management in a minute. The next thing, of course, is exercise and healthy eating. We're going to crave the comfort foods. We're going to crave the high sugar foods. Because we need that injection. We need the injection of the sugar to keep us going a bit longer. And then that's going to impact on, your sleep, because, you're going to look for the caffeine. You want to keep going. And of course, it's going to have the opposite effect. It's going to impact you hugely. It actually has the opposite effect. So you can have comfort foods, but they can be healthy comfort foods too. So think about a nice dinner, a nice comfort dinner, instead of or something warm and comforting, particularly at this time of the year. Soups and things like that would be more. But think about that. What meals can I have that are still a comfort food, can still make me feel nourished, but are still healthier, to try and break that cycle. Exercise and meditation are highly important. And if you don't have a lot of time, think about taking up something like yoga. So you're getting your exercise, or even a walk. You can get your exercise and you're getting some meditation in there as well. You need your support team. Highly, highly important. Family and friends. But again, you have to delete the negative vampires. You want somebody that is a supporter to you, who will offer you assistance, who will be there no matter what, and will always want the best for you. You need to set very healthy boundaries. If you are very stressed out, I would suggest that you do not have very healthy boundaries. I would be looking at your boundaries and setting the correct boundaries in any relationship. And I would be checking your own personal boundaries as well if you were to come and see me. Sleep, as I said, if you're having difficulties with your sleep, again, you've got to look at the whole package. You're a whole body. It's not just about the head. It's not just about, the body. It's the whole package. It's not just about spirituality on its own or anything like that. We are a whole body. So you have to treat it, anything that you do, in a holistic way, the whole body. Reduce alcohol. Not unsurprisingly, of course, we would reach for alcohol or cigarettes. We would reach for something that's going to, help disassociate, help us numb out a bit. So we have to watch our alcohol and, if you're stressed, to cut them out. Now, time management. If you are stressed, boundaries and time management are going to be the two main problems. I would suggest that you take some time out, or if you can, take time away from, a few days. I'm talking about a long weekend type of thing, or a midweek break or something like that. And sit down with the purpose of reviewing your priorities. A lot of the times with women, it can be a matter of codependency. And I have a blog on codependency. If you don't understand what codependency is, go and look up the blog. It's very informative. We take on too much. We do too much. We take on other people's responsibilities. To take even a day out of your life and say, look at everything that you do for everybody else, not just for yourself, but for everybody else, and decide, are these mine? Are they my responsibilities? Or do I really have to do these things? Or am I doing it out of guilt? Am I doing it out of some other notion that I have in my head, instead of just living my life for me? I think stress is an early wake-up call for most of us, because as I said, it can lead on to heart attacks and stroke, or to other diseases, or to an anxiety, particularly an anxiety or depression disorders, and very, very high, as I said at the start, in women. So think about the stress. If you are under even mild stress, this is a wake-up call. It's time to review your priorities. And then it is a case of deleting things, handing things back. And if you're codependent, you're going to find it very, very hard to hand responsibilities back to the people that own them. You'll probably be the type of person who will take on everything in the family. And don't just mean yourself and your partner and your kids. I'm talking about the extended family. They will come to your door. You will probably be somebody who takes on everybody else's stuff at work. You'll definitely feel like a martyr and a victim, and you'll be resentful and angry, and it'll all build up, and then you have a collapse. Because that usually is what happens with a codependent. You do have a collapse state. So delegation, handing things back, and learning to say no are very, very important. I would also add in, to time management, I would be adding in things like your basic self-care. So taking time to do that, adding in, time block out, time for yourself, time alone, time for creativity. And you're going to think, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do that. It is possible to do that. It is hard work, but it is possible to do that. It's going to be really hard for you. As a codependent, it is going to be particularly hard for you. So if you're a very high, the alpha A type personality, it's going to be very hard for you to hand things over to people and delegate, because you think you're the only person that is capable of doing it. You're not. Nobody is indispensable. Nobody. You would be better off if you're somebody who thinks, I can't do time out for myself. I cannot do creative things for myself. I can tell you you can, because your productivity is suffering as a result of what you're doing at the moment, and you would in fact be better served, and your business will be better served if you take time for yourself, and you take time for that creative, that creative side of your life. Time management, as I said, is highly, highly important. So I'm going to leave it there for this week, and have a look at the blog. It's at www.DeborahByrne and it links out to, help on sleep, help on boundaries, help on boundaries in relationships. And I do have a huge blog on time management specifically for women, and women in business. So have a look at that. And I will talk to you all next week about teenagers and traumatic grief. It's slightly different than normal grief. So I will talk to you all next week, and good morning. And thank you for everybody who's watching this morning, particularly Deirdre. I know she's a regular every week. And I will see you then. Thank you.